Have you ever felt like you're falling behind? Not because you're not working hard, but because you're constantly watching someone else win. Do you ever scroll through your feed and feel your heart sink? Not because you're not proud of them, but because you start questioning everything about yourself. How many times have you looked at someone else's highlight reel and let it dictate how you feel about your own life? This is the silent epidemic no one talks about, the quiet war you wage in your mind every single day, measuring your worth by someone else's timeline. And the worst part, most people don't even realize they're doing it. You're not tired because you're lazy. You're tired because your energy is being drained by a race you were never meant to run. You wake up with ambition, but before your feet hit the floor, you've already lost momentum because your eyes have turned outward instead of inward. The truth is, comparison is the thief of joy, yes, but it's also the killer of purpose, because every second you spend watching someone else is a second you are not building what's yours. You weren't born to compete, you were born to create. You weren't designed to follow their path. You were crafted to carve your own. But you'll never discover that path if you keep trading your vision for their validation. So I need you to understand this right now. Your progress is not behind schedule. It's just being suffocated by distraction. And the moment you take your power back, the second you stop looking sideways and start looking straight ahead, you will remember who you are. Not the observer, not the follower, the builder, the force, the one who's done watching, the one who starts creating. Right now. Let me tell you the truth that no one's ever said to you directly. The most dangerous addiction of our time isn't drugs, alcohol, or fame. It's comparison, silent, seductive, and slowly suffocating your potential. And the worst part, it doesn't announce itself. It wears the face of admiration, of just checking, of I'm only curious, but it poisons everything it touches. You start your day with purpose, with drive, maybe even a bit of pride, until you see someone else winning, someone younger, someone louder, someone who looks like they have it all, and suddenly your fire flickers, you doubt your pace, you question your worth, you shrink, not because you failed, but because you allowed someone else's success to redefine your story. Let me paint you a picture. There's a man named David, not famous, not flashy, just real. For years, David built his dream. Quiet mornings, long nights, no applause, no posts. Just work, discipline, vision. But one evening, out of habit, he scrolled, and there he saw it, his old college friend Mark launching a business, going viral, making it, the likes, the comments, the hype. And just like that, David's progress felt small, insignificant, like the years of grind meant nothing. But what David didn't know, what he couldn't see, was the truth behind Mark's picture, the debt, the doubt, the panic behind the posts. Because comparison never gives you the full story. It sells you the highlight reel while hiding the pain backstage. How many dreams die quietly in the shadow of someone else's spotlight? How many ideas stay locked inside because you're too distracted watching someone else unwrap theirs? And here's the punchline. They're not even watching you. You're losing sleep over people who don't even know you exist. People whose lives aren't better. They're just louder. But I want to ask you something that might sting. What if the very thing holding you back isn't a lack of talent or time or opportunity? What if it's the habit of looking sideways instead of looking inward? What if the reason you're overwhelmed isn't because you're behind, but because you keep using someone else's ruler to measure a life that was never meant to match theirs? There's something deeply wrong with how we've been trained to see ourselves. We're taught that our value is only real when it's visible, when it's validated. But that's not truth, that's a trap. Because real growth is invisible at first. Seeds grow in silence. Muscles build in tension. Success takes root long before the world sees the fruit. And if you don't learn to honor the season you're in, you'll abort the blessings that are trying to form. I'm telling you right now, with as much clarity as I can, your breakthrough will not come from watching. It will come from working, from trusting, from tuning out the noise and tuning into your own voice. And that voice, yes, the quiet one you've been ignoring, is the only compass that can lead you home. Not TikTok, not trends, not what your cousin's doing. You, because you see, the world will try to bait you with distraction, with faster timelines, with louder success. But if you fall for it, you'll trade your destiny for a dopamine hit. You'll chase their version of winning while abandoning your own. That is the warning, that is the danger. And if you don't wake up now, you might never know what was really possible because your energy was too divided to build anything real. David, he caught himself. One day he deleted the apps, turned inward. He stopped measuring and started moving. The business, quietly grew. The peace returned, the confidence rebuilt, brick by brick, without the need for anyone else to clap. And what happened next? He surpassed the very people he once envied, not because he was better, but because he was focused. So here's your moment, the line in the sand. You can keep watching, keep comparing, keep shrinking, or you can make a decision, a bold one, that from this day forward, your life is your responsibility. Your timeline is sacred. Your vision is valid, even if no one sees it yet. And your energy is too valuable to waste on someone else's lane. Let this be your turning point. No more sideways glances, no more stolen joy, no more delayed dreams. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break through. But it starts when you stop looking out there and start building in here. Because the truth about comparison, it's not just a bad habit, it's a form of self-abandonment. And you, my friend, are far too important to abandon. Let me ask you something personal, something you may have never stopped to truly consider. When did you start believing that the answers you're looking for exist somewhere out there? That peace will come from a new job, confidence from someone else's approval, clarity from the next book or podcast or influencer telling you how to live? When did you stop trusting you? Because the truth, the one that will shake you if you let it, is that you are the source. Everything you are searching for, waiting on, praying for, scrolling for, it's been inside you this entire time. But I get it. The world conditions you to forget. From the moment you're born, you're taught to look outward for direction, for validation, for permission. You learn to depend on systems, on structure, on someone smarter, richer, louder to show you the way. And slowly, without ever realizing it, your inner voice, your compass, gets drowned out by the noise. Until one day, you wake up and you don't even recognize the life you're living. You're checking boxes, climbing ladders, chasing goals you didn't even choose. You're surrounded by people and praise, but you still feel empty. Why? Because you built everything except a relationship with yourself. There was a woman named Emily, a single mum from Ohio. No fancy degree, no trust fund, just grit and a quiet hunger for something more. Every night after putting her daughter to sleep, she'd sit in the dark with a notebook and ask herself the same question: what do I already know? That was it. Not what do I need to learn or what should I do next? Just what do I already know? And slowly, day by day, that question pulled the answers out of her. Not from the internet, not from a coach, but from her. From the pain she survived, the skills no one saw, the vision that wouldn't let her sleep. Within 2 years, Emily built a 6-figure design business, working from her kitchen table. No investors, no hacks, just alignment, just self-trust. You are not lacking knowledge, you are lacking connection to your own inner intelligence. And if you don't rebuild that connection, you will forever feel lost, even when life looks perfect on paper. Do you know how many people have everything they once prayed for and still feel like something's missing? That's what happens when you chase results without rooting yourself in purpose. The consequence, you succeed outwardly but decay internally. That's the danger. That's the warning. And that's what's coming for you if you don't turn inward now. What if you stopped running? What if you stopped asking everyone else what they think and started asking yourself what you already know? What if, instead of reading another success story, you started writing your own? Would that terrify you? Good. Growth should. But let me give you a promise, and I don't make many of those. If you sit still long enough, if you breathe, reflect, and truly listen, you will hear it. The whisper, the direction, the reminder you are not lost, you are layered, you are not broken, you are buried. And the excavation begins when you finally believe this one truth. No one is coming to save you, because you are the one you've been waiting for. You are the source, the generator, the spark, not the result of your circumstances, but the creator of them. You don't need more time. You need more ownership, more silence, more self-trust. You need to stop outsourcing your power and start reclaiming it. Because the greatest tragedy is not failing to become something great. It's forgetting that you already are. And yes, it will be hard. It will be quiet. It will feel unnatural to trust yourself after years of silencing your instincts. But what waits on the other side of that resistance? Freedom, power, peace. Not because your life becomes perfect, but because your identity does. You remember who you are, and in that remembering you realign. So no, the answer is not in the algorithm. It's not in what they say or think or suggest. The answer is in the stillness between your thoughts, in the truth you've been too scared to admit, that you know what to do. You always have. You just haven't given yourself the permission to do it. Give it now. Let this be the day you stop waiting, the day you stop chasing clarity and start creating it. Because when you realize you are the source, you'll stop begging for light and start becoming it. There's a storm that doesn't show up on weather maps. It doesn't flood your street or shake your windows. It floods your mind. It shakes your focus. It's the invisible chaos of modern life. Notifications buzzing, opinions flying, expectations pressing in from all sides. And in the middle of it all, there you are, trying to find stillness, trying to remember who you are, what you believe, what you're building. But how do you stay centered when the world keeps pulling at every thread of your attention? How do you protect your peace when everything around you is screaming for a reaction? The answer is not found in doing more. It's found in doing less, but doing it deliberately. It's not about controlling the noise. It's about mastering your response to it. And that mastery, it starts in the first hour of your day. Let me tell you about Brian. Regular guy, works in finance, lives in New Jersey. He used to wake up like most people, phone in hand before his eyes were even fully open, checking messages, scrolling headlines, reading updates that didn't even matter. And every day, without realizing it, he was giving the world control over his mind before he had even claimed it for himself. One morning he woke up in a panic, racing heart, scattered thoughts. He had no idea why. Nothing dramatic had happened, but deep down he knew something was wrong. That was the morning he made a decision. No more letting the outside world set the tone. From that day forward, his mornings began in silence. 10 minutes of breath work, 5 minutes of gratitude, 3 goals written on a sticky note. No phone until his mind was his again. Within weeks, Brian felt the shift. The panic faded. The distractions lost their grip. He wasn't just managing stress, he was reclaiming power. Because staying centered isn't about escaping the world. It's about becoming unshakable within it. But maybe you're thinking, I don't have time. Let me be honest with you. That's a lie the world taught you to keep you reactive. You have time. You just haven't been taught to protect it. And if you don't protect your time, your peace, your mind, someone else will use it for their agenda. That is the danger. That is the warning. You must build a ritual so solid, so sacred, that even chaos cannot interrupt it. And I'm not talking about complex routines that feel like another job. I'm talking about simple, powerful anchors that bring you back to yourself. Wake up, breathe, move your body, write one intention, speak one affirmation, read something that reminds you who you are. These aren't chores, they are lifelines. They are the daily decision to belong to yourself before the world tries to claim you. Because here's the truth, no matter how strong your vision is, if your attention is weak, you will lose it. And attention doesn't just wander, it gets hijacked by distraction, by doubt, by comparison. And if you don't reclaim it every single morning, you'll start living someone else's life before noon. Ask yourself right now, who owns my attention? Is it the algorithm? Is it the headlines? Is it that one person I'm still trying to impress? Or is it me? Because the difference between a scattered mind and a focused one is not talent, it's not intelligence, it's ritual, repetition, awareness, discipline. And the most powerful part, you don't need anyone's permission to begin. You don't need to move across the country, quit your job, or wait until life is quieter. You just need to decide. Decide that your peace matters. Decide that your clarity is non-negotiable. Decide that your inner world is the most valuable territory you'll ever guard. You want to be great? Then master your mornings. You want to stay grounded when the world spins. Then build habits that anchor you when everything else tries to unmoor you. Because the ones who rise the highest are the ones who are rooted the deepest. And the root is always found in ritual, in silence, in intention. That's how you stay centered. That's how you stay powerful. That's how you lead a life the world can't shake. There's a thief in your life, and it's not wearing a mask. It doesn't break in through the window or pick a lock. It walks in through your attention and robs you silently, daily. Distraction doesn't scream. It whispers. It lures. It disguises itself as something harmless. Just a quick scroll, a harmless reply, a little entertainment while you unwind. But make no mistake, distraction is not passive. It's aggressive, strategic, and if you don't take control, it will take everything. Let me tell you about Kyle. He was one of those guys who had potential you could feel when he walked in a room. Smart, driven, had that hunger in his eyes that most people lose by the time they hit 30. He had ideas. Vision. He used to wake up early, journal, hit the gym, work on his business before his day job. He called it his warrior hours. But somewhere along the way, life got noisy. He got a raise, got comfortable, started checking his phone first thing in the morning. 10 minutes turned to 20. His morning workouts got replaced by just 5 more minutes of scrolling. The journal stayed closed. The vision faded into the background. And do you know what happened? Nothing. That's the terrifying part. Nothing crashed, nothing exploded. But slowly, without warning, he drifted. And maybe you felt that drift too. You wake up and the day pulls you before you even take a breath. You bounce from one thing to the next, responding, reacting, consumed by things that don't matter. but they feel urgent, don't they? And by nightfall, you're drained, but not fulfilled. You've been busy, yet you've built nothing that moved your life forward. Distraction is not innocent. It's a system, one designed to keep you occupied enough to never feel the emptiness creeping in. Because if you were still, really still, you'd hear the truth you've been avoiding. You're not living your life, you're managing your distractions. And here's the worst part. It's not just stealing your time, it's stealing your greatness. It's delaying your calling. It's muting the voice inside you that says, there's more, there's better, there's only one person who truly stands in your way, and you already know who it is. It's not your boss, it's not your parents, it's not the economy, the algorithm, or the people who doubted you. It's you. And deep down, that truth either sets you free or breaks you wide open. Because this is the game no one tells you you're playing. You versus you. Not just on the good days when you're motivated and clear, but on the hard days when your fear feels louder than your vision. When the old version of you begs you to settle, stay safe, shrink back. And the hardest part, that voice sounds just like yours. Let me tell you about Jordan. High school athlete, captain, All-American energy. Everyone thought he'd go pro, but after one knee injury and a couple of bad choices, he lost his scholarship. The dream collapsed. For years, he blamed everything. The coach, the system, the injury. Until one night, sitting in his car outside a dead-end job, he caught his reflection in the rearview mirror, and something in him snapped, not out of anger, but clarity. He realized, the opponent I've been fighting isn't out there. It's me. It's the version of me that gave up, the one that talks me out of trying, the one that justifies quitting before I start. And maybe, just maybe, you've been playing that same game. Let me ask you, who would you be if you stopped negotiating with your excuses? What would happen if you trained your mind like you train your body? If you disciplined your thoughts like you do your work? What would shift if every time doubt whispered, you answered back with action? Because here's the warning, and it's real. If you don't face yourself now, your old habits will win. Your old story will stay on repeat. And years from now, you'll wonder how your potential became your prison. You'll have the talent, but not the discipline. The fire, but not the follow-through. And that's not a life. It's a life sentence. But there's something coming. And it's not external, it's internal. It's a version of you that's been waiting. Stronger, sharper, focused. And it's not found through applause or achievements. It's found through alignment, through showing up again and again until your actions match your ambition. You don't need to beat anyone else to win. You just need to beat who you were yesterday. That's the only game. And the moment you realize that, you stop running from your reflection and you start rising to it. Let's talk about a feeling you've tried to bury, a feeling we don't like to admit, one that makes us squirm in our own skin. Envy. That sharp sting in your gut when someone else wins. When they get the praise, the position, the life you've quietly wished was yours. You scroll through their highlight reel and suddenly your own progress feels small, insufficient, like no matter how hard you try, someone else will always be ahead. And the worst part, you hate that you feel that way. But what if I told you envy isn't your enemy, it's your guide? Let me tell you about Nicole. 35, graphic designer, lives in Queens, smart, driven, quiet fire in her eyes, but stuck. Not because she didn't have talent. She did. What she lacked was clarity. Every time she started something bold, she'd second guess it. Then one day she saw an old friend post about launching a brand. Same field, less experience, more traction. And it hit her like a punch to the chest. That bitterness, that ache, that why not me moment. She was ashamed of it, tried to pretend it didn't bother her. But it did, until she did something most people never do. She leaned into it. She opened her journal, wrote the name down, and asked the hard question, what exactly am I jealous of? And the answer wasn't vague. It wasn't about the followers or the logo or the launch. It was about freedom, about visibility, about owning her voice. Nicole didn't want their success. She wanted to stop hiding. That's when everything changed. Because envy, when examined, not denied, becomes a map. It shows you what you crave, not what they have, but what's buried in you. That's why it hurts so much. Not because they're winning, but because deep down you know you could be too. So let me ask you, what are you envying right now? Who are you secretly watching? What lights that fire in your chest that feels too dangerous to name? And more importantly, what does that say about you? Not in a condemning way, but in a revealing one. Because here's the truth. Envy only shows up when you're close. You don't envy what's impossible. You envy what mirrors your potential. That's the emotional peak right there. The realization that your envy doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware, and if you're brave enough to listen, to sit in that discomfort instead of numbing it, you'll discover something extraordinary. Your desire is trying to speak. Your calling is surfacing through the cracks. But here's the warning, and it's urgent. If you don't turn that envy into energy, it will rot. It will turn into resentment, cynicism, withdrawal. It will make you bitter when you were born to be better. That's the danger of ignoring your envy. It metastasizes. What could have been a spark becomes a cage. You'll start mocking the very things you once dreamed about. You'll pretend you didn't care. You'll lie to yourself to protect your pride. But you'll always know, you'll always feel it, because envy doesn't disappear. It just gets quieter, more toxic, more personal, until one day you don't even recognize who you've become. Nicole, she didn't let that happen. She used that fire. She wrote the first blog post, showed her work online, bombed a few projects, got back up. Month by month, she built something real. And now people envy her. But the difference is she doesn't hide from it. She understands it. She honors it because she knows where it came from. And she knows what it cost to turn that sting into something sacred. So if you're feeling that ache today, good. Don't run from it. Lean in. Trace it back to the truth. Ask yourself, what does this envy reveal about my own unlived life? And then with intention, not panic, move. Create, speak, build. Do one thing that scares you. Do it before the voice of jealousy becomes a permanent excuse. Because here's what no one tells you. The people you envy, they had the same fear, the same doubts, the same inner critic. The only difference is they moved anyway. So now it's your turn. You can waste energy watching them. Or you can use that energy to become the version of you you're truly meant to be. The version they feel when you walk in the room. The one who doesn't need to chase because they've already become. Envy is not shameful. It's a signal. And if you're willing to decode it, it will lead you directly to your purpose, but only if you stop watching and start walking toward it, through it, into it. That's the way forward. That's the only way you win. Silence isn't weakness. It's not retreat. It's not absence. Silence is strategy. It's control. It's power dressed in stillness. In a world that rewards noise, where everyone's talking, posting, reacting, those who learn to remain centered in silence don't fall behind. They rise above, because real power never needs to announce itself. It just moves. There was a man named Chris, grew up in Brooklyn. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room, but people noticed him, not because he was flashy, but because he was anchored. While others scrambled to prove themselves, to outshine, to outtalk, Chris listened, watched, moved in silence. He didn't show off his plans. He built them behind closed doors. And that's what made him dangerous, in the best way. No one could predict his next move because he wasn't performing for them. He was performing for his purpose. Let me ask you, when was the last time you sat with yourself in total silence without reaching for your phone, your music, your distractions? When was the last time you heard your own thoughts without interference? Because silence will reveal what noise tries to bury. In silence, you confront the real you. The truth, the doubt, the desire, and yes, the pain, but also the clarity, the instruction, the next move. You want answers, silence has them. You want direction, stillness gives it. But here's the mystery. Most people will never access this power because silence is too uncomfortable for the untrained mind. And here's your warning. If you don't learn to control your silence, the noise will control your life. You'll react to everything, be pulled into drama, get baited by opinions, burn out trying to prove yourself. And for what? Validation that disappears the second you stop performing. Silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the inner work while the world guesses. It's discipline, it's presence, it's choosing to say less and build more, to show less and earn more, to need less and become more, because lions don't roar when they hunt. They move with calm, lethal precision. That's who you need to become. Chris built his business without ever announcing it online. And when he finally emerged, people didn't know what hit them. He didn't beg for attention. He demanded respect. Because he did what few have the patience to do. He moved in silence. He mastered himself. You want peace? Practice silence. You want strength? Practice stillness. You want power? Withdraw from the noise and return to yourself. Because when the storm hits, the loud fall apart. The silence stays standing, always. Every transformation begins with a decision, and that decision must be made every single day. Not once, not in a burst of motivation, not when you're inspired by a podcast or a quote, but daily, quietly, relentlessly. This is the part most people never talk about, the grind behind the glory, the boring, repetitive, powerful choice to commit to your growth even when no one is watching. Let me introduce you to Ethan. 32, lives in Jersey City, works a 9-to-5 but dreams of starting his own tech company. He's smart, has ideas, but for years, nothing moved. Why? Because he kept waiting for the right time. The big opportunity, the surge of motivation that never came. Until one morning, cold, grey, silent, he sat on the edge of his bed and asked himself the question that shifted everything. What if I just do one thing today that I promised myself I would? Not 10, not 50, just one. So he did. He set a timer for 30 minutes and sketched out a prototype. That was it, but that one act, it became a ritual. Every morning, before emails, before distractions, he honoured his one daily commitment. And over time, 30 minutes turned into 90. The prototype became a pitch deck. The pitch deck became a product. And eventually, the product became his freedom. So here's the question. What are you committed to daily? Not when you feel like it, not when it's easy, but every day. Is it reading 10 pages? Is it writing your vision? Is it showing up for your health, your mind, your dream? Because the truth is, you don't need massive action. You need consistent proof to yourself that you can be trusted, and that proof is built in private. Let me give you a warning. Your future will not be built by what you do occasionally. It will be shaped by what you repeat. So if your habits are weak, your foundation will crack. If your discipline is negotiable, your success will be temporary. But if you build one non-negotiable act into every day, one sacred promise, you will become unstoppable. And when doubt creeps in, when progress feels slow, you won't fall apart, because you'll have something most people don't: a track record with yourself, a quiet knowing that you show up, that you deliver, that you don't wait for permission to move, you just move. That's the power of daily commitment. It builds the future in silence before the world ever sees it. You've made it this far, so now it's time to ask the question that matters most. What will you do with everything you now know? You've seen the trap of comparison, the cost of distraction, the battle between who you are and who you could become. You've felt the weight of envy, the power of silence, the strength of discipline. You've seen how the world pulls at your focus, constantly trying to convince you that someone else has the answers, the life, the timeline you're supposed to follow. But now you know the truth. None of that matters, because you weren't made to fit into their mold. You were made to build your own world. This is your moment, your line in the sand. Because if you walk away from this and go back to scrolling, go back to waiting, go back to comparing, then nothing changes. And that's not just a tragedy, that's a betrayal of your own potential, of the version of you that's buried underneath all the noise, all the doubt, all the distractions that never served you. That version of you is ready to rise, but it cannot do it passively. You must choose, you must declare it, focus on you, always. That's not a catchphrase. It's a lifestyle, it's a weapon in a world addicted to distraction. And if you don't use it, you'll drown in the noise. The world will tell you to watch, to compare, to chase. But legacy is not built by chasing. It's built by creating, quietly, consistently, unapologetically. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to focus, to build, to lead. You want to change your life? Then focus is no longer optional. It's sacred. Every moment you spend looking outward is a moment stolen from the life you could be building. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just distracted. And distraction is the silent assassin of destiny. Let me be clear. No one is coming to remind you to lock in. No one's going to chase you to believe in yourself. That's your job now. And it's not easy, but it's yours. And once you own that, something incredible happens. The world begins to respond. Opportunities start appearing. People start paying attention. But most importantly, you start respecting yourself, because you finally chose you fully, without apology, without delay. And yes, it'll feel lonely at first. Focus always does, because it means walking away from the noise, the comfort, the crowd. But that's the price of clarity. That's the cost of creation. And you, if you're still watching this, are ready to pay it. You're ready to step into the version of you that doesn't seek approval, because they already have purpose. That doesn't chase attention, because they already have direction. That doesn't need to be seen, because they've already decided to become undeniable. So here's your final call to action, not just for this video, but for your life. Stop watching, start building, stop comparing, start becoming, stop asking for signs. You're the sign. This is your moment, this is the fire. And if it's burning inside you right now, don't let it die in the name of hesitation. Let it become something, let it become you. Comment focus below if you're done comparing, done waiting, done doubting. Let the world know you're not here to chase noise. You're here to make impact. No more performing, no more proving, just building, just becoming. Because the truth is this: the ones who rise the highest, they're not the loudest, they're the most locked in. They're the ones who walked away from distractions, silenced the noise, and went all in on becoming the person they were always meant to be. So take one last breath, stand tall, and walk forward, not for them, not for likes, not for validation, but for you. You've spent enough time looking around. Now it's time to look within and build like your legacy depends on it, because it does.